Hey guys, Ray from Kinson here. Just want to give a quick shout out and thank you guys for subscribing. We're over 700, which when we started this year, we were a little bit under 500. So thanks for that. We really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, subscribe to us. That'd be really awesome. We really appreciate that. All right. So in this video, what we're doing is we are going forward with my pedalboard build, and we're just showing you guys a bunch of the little things that we learned while we were building this board, so that when you plan out your pedalboard, you can go at it with confidence. All right, stick with us. As you guys know, I recently switched up my pedal board from a traditional pedal board to more of the switching system via RJM. And I wanted to just kind of take you through a couple of things that I found out along the way, and hopefully, maybe it'll make sense to you and help you with your pedal board build. All right, so let's get into it. First things first, what I did before I ordered anything is that I taped out the size of the pedal board that I wanted. Now I based this around a Pelican 1615 because I wanted something that was a very specific size and a very specific weight, to have wheels and to be very robust. We've all been used to carrying around the flight cases for a while, and yeah, maybe it was time for a change for me. So that's what I did. I taped it out on this handy dandy table, and after that I took every single pedal that I wanted and I made these little cards, just giving me the size and the roundabout location of where the ins and outs were on each of the pedals, so that what I could do was I could kind of play Tetris with things and kind of lay them out on the board and just be like, okay, this is going to work, this is not going to work. And that way, when it came time to do it, remember the old saying, measure twice, cut once. That's basically what I was going for here. So you can see I have all of my pedals, the RJM, the Layla, and volume pedal. And I just kind of started putting things down and starting like that. So let me just give you an idea of what happened here. Deco. Ooh, there you go. Deco. RJM. And if you can see, this is going to be pretty much the same layout that things came out with. And it's about like that. Now, as you can notice, we run out of space real fast. And so what I did was I found this tier system that Fixed Pedal Boards did with Vertex. And I ordered one of these, and I really liked it, and I thought it was the right size. But this was my mistake because I could have fit a little bit bigger. So what I had to do was I ordered it just that little bit bigger, and what it did was it allowed me to put every pedal that I wanted to up here in the correct position and not have to worry about spacing. So as you can see, it didn't really fit the first time. The iridium was sticking over just a little bit, and so by going up a next size and just adding this little bit of space right here, I was able to fit everything I wanted on the second tier. Now, when you're doing stuff like this, you want to keep in mind the plugs. So these are the traditional plugs that everybody's used to, and maybe a couple that you haven't seen before. So what I found out during this process was that these guys, which are sold at Bestronix, these are the smallest guys that are going to fit into the RJM. As you can see, they take up a lot less space than even this guy, which this is what was recommended at first when I first started researching pedal boards. But as you can see, you lose a lot of space by just going to this guy. All right. So I went with these guys for the RJM. The bad part was that I bought a bunch of these, and it turns out I don't need them. So if anybody needs some of these, let me know, because I really want to get rid of them. All right, another thing that I found out was that these pancakes, we always used to think that these were the smallest. Turns out that these guys are going to be the smallest now. And these really helped with a lot of pedals, but they didn't work with the Strymon pedals that you're running in stereo. All right, Strymon pedals that you run in stereo really want to see this type of plug, just because when you plug it in, it's going to be flat, whereas this is going to take up a little bit more space, and this guy's not even going to fit at all. All right, so if you're going stereo out of your Strymon stuff, this guy doesn't work. They really want to see these guys. All right, so just a couple of things to keep in mind. when you're laying this thing out as well, you really want to plug stuff in while you're laying stuff out so that you can see, oh, it's going to stick out this much, oh, it's going to stick out this much, etc., etc. One thing that I learned as well during the system was that I really didn't need all of this space up here on the tier. The Mobius would have been fine by just shrinking this a little bit. Instead, what you'll notice is that my Volante is pushed back, my Layla is pushed back, and my Iridium is pushed forward. So maybe it's not perfect. It's not exactly the way we all want our things to be, but it's pretty close. All right, no big deal. So with this system, I think what you'll find is that if you lay everything out and you have a really clear idea of what is going on first, it's really going to help in the long run because you'll measure twice and cut once with this system. All right, so now we're going to talk about the routing. I'm going to pull the pedal board up here and we're going to talk about why I routed it a certain way, and maybe this will give you some ideas as to your routing and help you find some solutions that maybe you didn't think about. All right, guys, so we're back, and here is the pedal board. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the routing and why I did things the way I did it. Now, with this system, we only have 6 loops, of course, and with those 6 loops, what I wanted to do is I wanted to put my drive section and some of the things that I wanted to be able to control on and off, and then with the MIDI, I wanted to control these guys up here. All right, so let's talk about each loop. Now, in loop 1, I have a Big by Shinai, and that's just a beautiful boost. It's a very discreet, has a transformer in it. It's basically just a studio grade boost. In loop 2, I have a Cot 50 by Love Pedal, and what that is meant to do is kind of even out the volume between my baritone and guitar. In the band that I play in, Kinsman, I'm about at 50-50 with baritone and guitar as far as my duties are concerned. In fact, I think Rome is also, maybe he's like 60-40 with baritone. So we each have little boosts to help things out. In loop 3, I have a top boost in the can, which is the Menatone AC30 vibe. All right, in loop 4, I have a Zen Drive, which is for solos. Loop 5, I have the Cali 76, which I do love this deluxe version. But the only reason I got it is because I couldn't fit this guy, which is... I love this thing. We all know what this is. Big box with a boost. It was just going to take up too much room, so I had to put this in the studio. R.I.P. All right, sorry about that. Loop 6, we have the Deco, and that is going stereo. Now, we're going stereo out into this loop of pedals up here, and the reason that I didn't necessarily need these in the RJM loops is because I'm going MIDI out into a Chase Bliss splitter box, and that's sending MIDI to Mobius and converting MIDI down to 1/4 inch for the Iridium. Now, you might be asking yourself, why aren't you controlling Volante? And there's a good answer for that. Volante does not have a global tap tempo. So because of that, say if I had one setting for my chorus and one setting for my verse, they would have to be perfectly saved and synced up. If not, when I hit my favorite switch on the RJM or on the Volante, the time that was saved in my preset, it's always going to revert to that. So a little bit of a problem. I did reach out to Strymon. They weren't too upfront about if they're ever going to fix it, if they think it's a problem. It was just basically like a little foggy, all right? Now, so to combat that, I put a little tap tempo down here for the Volante, and things are working out just fine. It's no big deal, all right? Now, with the 5-pin MIDI, I am controlling Mobius, and Mobius does have a global tap that I can use here, all right, which is awesome. And eventually, I want to program the Iridium so that I not only have my set list for when I'm running amps, but I have my set list for when I am going DI in through the Iridium. Now, you may be asking yourself, how are you doing all that splitting? And this is the way I'm doing it. When I'm playing through amps, my last thing in the chain is Volante. Volante is going to be sending stereo out into the Layla. Now the Layla is a transform isolated, really, really great switching box. So when I go stereo into here, I come stereo out. It's really clean. I can fix phase, everything right here from the box. When I want to go direct, what I'm going to do is I made a Y cable to come from Volante into the Iridium, and I'll go straight out from the Iridium. So I really wanted this board to be multi-use. All right, so when I have a fly date or when I have to use backline, I can kind of make that judgment there rather than having to say, okay, they gave me a twin and I don't like twins, so here we go. All right, so in that case, I would use the Iridium. If I can have my amps, or if I have a really specific backline, I can say, oh, we're going into the dual, no big deal. It's just one cable. Other than that, with the routing, we were very specific to provide as little waste as possible. So instead of just making a bunch of ends and having a lot of wasted cable, what we did were make the end for the pedal, line it up down over here, and then solder it right there so that those really, really very little wasted cable, very little waste in general with the board. As far as tips and tricks with working with these cables, I really suggest you check out Mason over at Vertex. Like, he is a wealth of information. I learned so much about soldering, about routing, and it's not perfect. It's not Mason's work, but for what I did, I think I'm pretty happy with it. But shout out to Mason for giving us the great information that he did, because he could totally not give us that, but he did. So thanks, Mason. Appreciate you, buddy. Anything else? I think I have a wireless under here, and some people don't like people that use wireless. But what I love about wireless, and what may tip you over about wireless, is that when I get to a gig, I set my pedal board, I have power, and I have one cable back to my amp, maybe at most two. All right, so just that little taking off one cable, that helps me. All right, I really enjoy that. Not only that, I can walk on the stage and not have to plug in. I can just walk out and start playing, and we're really streamlining the show lately, so that really helps me personally. I think that's about it for all the routing that I did with this board. I love that the PVC, you can arrange, different loops so that maybe Deco hits Cali, or maybe the Cali is boosting just a little bit of the top, boosting a can. I love all that. Those are things that the big RJM doesn't do, but that this one does do. So, hope you enjoyed that section. All right, so in this next section, we're going to look at the really fine details concerning the tier, pedals that go over the lip, dual lock, and maybe some tips and tricks that you may not know about. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so here we are with a tight shot, and notice how some of these pedals are going over the lip. One way to do that is to use dual lock on both sides, and it will give you just enough clearance for you to get your pedals all the way over to the lip so that you don't lose this ½ inch of space on any of the sides. Another thing that you want to think about is this specific material that is being used on this pedal board is not exactly flat. So what I did to combat that is I used a little bit of fire, and I heated up the dual lock on the bottom of the sticky side before I placed it. What that does is that gives you a really, 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 I could pick this pedal board up if I had the strength, with just a pedal, because nothing's going to come off, nothing's going to pull off, because it's on there and it's melted on there. All right, number 3, these tiers from fixed pedal boards come with just screws that go through the top and into the plate underneath. Because this pedal board is so big, I wasn't able to keep the handles that came with it. Now, I have to be able to pick it up out of the case, so I wanted to be able to use the tier to grab and lift up. All right. Now, I knew that those specific screws were going to maybe strip out or just not be strong enough. So what I did was I got some stainless steel screws, and not only did I put them through, but I also put a washer and a nut underneath. And just for good measure, I also Loctited it. So those are really never coming off unless I absolutely need to. You can see at the bottom of the pedal board that I did the same thing. I came from this side, Loctite, washer, into this guy so that I can actually lift this pedal board 1,000 times with just the tier, and nothing's going to give, nothing's going to move. It's just going to be completely solid. I know that Uncle Mason likes to not use this middle support because he said, hey, if you're not going to be hitting the pedals, it makes total sense not to give up that space. But when I'm picking it up, I really think that I needed it. Maybe you need it too. Just put some little Loctite, maybe some washers and some bolts with your stainless steel screws, and you will be good to go for years to come.
Hey guys, it's Rome from Kinsman, and wanted to share some of the items we used. For everything on Ray's cable or pedal board was this 2319 Mogami cable. Quick tip, using this Fluke wire stripper here, I think it's used for coaxials and stuff like that, makes it really easy to strip guitar cable once you have it dialed in. You're able to adjust that and get everything you need done really quickly. This saved a lot of time than fiddling with a razor blade. Big shout out to the Panavice. This is what we used instead of these devices. These are more detailed, like grabbing circuit boards and stuff. This is great for when you're working with angled jacks. You can put it here, tighten it up, get your cable, put everything in there. Quick tip, alligator arm, and you're working. So you're able to do everything before you can let go, crimp this, and you're done. We used a Weller soldering iron. Not sure on the model number. I think it was about 120 bucks. But the detail being the tip. Get something that's kind of more fine detail versus something that's wider. I like the fine detail. That's what we're working with, small wires and stuff. Klein tools, wire strippers, what we used. One last detail. That's the difference between the RJM insert plugs and what you're saving by going with these. Square plug, these are the SP500s. Amazing for going through your pedals. That's just about it. If you really want some nice screwdrivers and stuff, go Weehaw. This is just a Lowe's, but we have a Weehaw that we used. All right, hope that you enjoyed that.
All right, guys, so this is where I landed. This is the Pelican 1615 Air. It's a great case that I got from Circle 3 Designs. Chris actually customized it with one of the Circle 3 boards, put all this custom foam around it. I got the latches and the handles from Pelican Color Case. Let's take a look. Oh, and I did the stencil because I'm kind of geeky like that. So this is it. Fits perfect. Got this great foam that Chris designed for this, and there's even some storage on the bottom for a power cable or wireless cable, stuff like that. It doesn't move. I do have the foam that came with it up on top just to keep it nice and secure. Yeah, it's just a really good. It's exactly what I needed for this situation. So just kind of close it up. You know how it goes. You got wheels. You got nice handles. I'm going to color it with some stickers. And yeah, that's about it for the logistics of doing this custom pedal board. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much for subscribing and getting us past that hump. 1K, here we come. And hopefully you guys will come with us. And we hope you enjoyed it and that you gained some knowledge. And we'll see you guys real soon.